Fellow Toolboxers, I'm really happy today at AILA's 2025 celebration annual conference in Denver because I'm talking with two of the godfathers of immigration and technology, Phillip Yadidian, who's been doing it for a long time, and Greg Siskind, who we were talking earlier, the first immigration website, and from there, everything else, particularly VISALAW.AI now that you're working on. I didn't even know where to start because I have so many questions about your background. I guess Phillip, we'll talk with you. How did you make the decision to get into immigration tech and to make, immigration what it is today?
I started a software which the focus was multimedia, which was a big thing in around 1992. We did some pretty cool stuff, but we couldn't get any traction for business. We said, okay, let's look at something else. And we thought about our experience with immigration, going through the process of becoming a resident and what have you, all the paper process.
Your own immigration.
Yes. So I said, well, wouldn't it be cool to
Yeah.
automate that process to the extent possible? And during those days, we were still looking at desktop applications and Windows. So we started with a desktop application that was capable of, filling out forms and do rudimentary case management system. And then it sort of evolved to a SaaS solution and web-based solution and what we have today.
I guess the forms didn't update every 3 months like they do now, or else there'd be CDs coming out or floppy disks at that time, I guess. But yeah, how's it been now under not just new administration, but the last couple of years where it's like constantly changing? You guys are probably running around just trying to handle all the constant changes.
I think it's probably the same for all the immigration professionals as well. A lot of changes and you have to adapt. It is what it is.
Yeah. And Greg Smith, you're, I would guess, the hardest working man in immigration law. You have the law firm, big law firm for immigration. It's massive. You have the cookbook, all the other books that you write, and you have great partners and teams that you have, obviously. And you decided to jump into this space, AI, during Trump administration, particularly where you're gonna have, I mean, you didn't know it was gonna happen. It could have gone either way, but you're swamped with all this stuff. What made you pull the trigger on doing AI related stuff? That's a big decision.
Yeah, I mean, we had been doing lower tech expert systems for a while. So some people may remember during the Trump administration when they would do a travel ban, we would, we would rush out the same day a travel ban app to figure out whether you were subject to it or not. And they got a lot of traction, and we helped the firm from the point of view of just being able to give the information to clients in a way that they appreciate, but also it had a lot of broader marketing benefits. In 2022, I was lucky enough to be asked to speak on a panel at ABA Tech Show with somebody who was a co-founder at Casetext, which they were working on the first generative AI legal research product. So I was testing that in the late summer of 2022 before ChatGPT had come out. And I knew when I was using that product that the world was going to change. On there. And we had, I remember sit down with our CEO, Josh. We have to pivot the company in this direction. This is going to be amazing for us if we can go in that way. And that was the beginning of Gen, our generative AI legal research platform. It's been a whirlwind since then. But when you were talking about the cookbook and the law firm, they all sort of tie together. When I wrote the cookbook with my law partner, Ari Sauer, we viewed it as a software play. We weren't thinking about generative AI yet as far as that goes, but all the systems, the checklists, the process steps, the templates, the annotated forms, we saw all of that as potentially tying into case management and potentially being used in these expert systems. That's what we were going to build, as sort of eligibility advisors and all these things that were tied to that, and the cookbook would sort of be the print version of the software that we were going to be creating. But from the beginning, we were viewing that that is a software project and not just a book.
Fascinating. It's the data that it's like the textbook for the AI to read to learn what to do, and then you partner it up. We have the massive amounts of data that's unique. Just your firm alone, it's limited, but having a tool for everybody. So it's been about a month now that the software has been out. The existing users are using it. Are there any particular use cases that have stood out that people really enjoyed, that they like in the software? I think you can answer, but that you've seen people really appreciate?
What we've created so far with Cerenade is sort of the first of a lot of different functionalities, but case management really blends nicely with a AI platform of legal research and drafting. We decided to focus first on drafting, and one of the pain points is the getting all of the documents into the system. It sounds like one of the most mundane parts of it is actually like uploading the documents. It's the biggest pain in the process because the AI has to go through the synchronization process that takes a while. And when you're
What does that
using
mean, the synchronization process?
So the AI, the language model is basically absorbing the document. It's reading them, it's putting that, turning them into code, and it's that is eventually how the prompts are going to access that information. And the way our system works is the prompts themselves are dynamic, which means that they are not sort of completely pre-written. There are multiple prompts that it takes for a longer document, like a petition letter, and those prompts are created on the fly from the documents that are uploaded, from answers to questions that the lawyer answers about the document that they're creating. We have some law in the database that's, and then there's a template that either that the law firm that's using it provides, or the one that we provide as a default. All of that information feeds into these prompts that are created to create the document. When people are using it, they don't want to basically upload documents and then have to come back 20 minutes later. There's information as well from the case management system that can feed into the questionnaire form so that data is already there. So when the document is building out, we'll have all the correct information from the case management system. So, we have a lot of different functionality in our product, but that's the one that's the area right now that people, when we're at the AILA conference, we're hearing it from people. They love the research. They love all the, the analysis and and all that. But drafting is really sort of the biggest return on investment that they can get, as far as really sort of seeing the value of AI, is the amount of time that they save in drafting a document. It's, a dramatic savings as far as the value of of their time. So that's what we decided to focus on first from an integration standpoint.
Any particular case types, like the asylum briefs or O1 briefs, or all of the above that it really works well with?
Yeah, so we have a broad audience for Gen, our core product, the research product. Siskind Sussur mostly focuses on business immigration, so that was sort of a natural for the first processes that we put into drafts, because we could do a lot of the internal testing with the legal team that we had. But we also knew product market caters to the broader immigration market. So now we have I-601, I-601A waivers, we have asylum. Eventually, we want to have just about every major process. And that's kind of like the cookbook as well. When Ari and I started working on the initial draft of the cookbook, we knew H's, we knew E's, we knew the basic business categories. And we put some initially in that were, the family categories and others, but we made sort of a deliberate broadening to include, TPS and parole and a variety of other categories that are not, your typical business categories. So that's the way we're looking at drafts as well. We don't want to get pigeonholed as seen as something that only business lawyers use.
I myself, in my firm, I got away from 601 waivers, for example, because it's just too time consuming, and as a solo, I couldn't justify the hours, how much time I'm spending on it. But there's a tool that I can even cut 3 hours of my time on that. That's dramatic gains for us. And we can open it up and get a whole extra type of clientele before, or we usually refer out, or we just say we don't do the case. And along with that, it's the I-130 cost processing. So there's different additional revenue sources we get from that. So that's amazing. Now, Phillip, what has been your experience in dealing with something so new, AI? Because obviously your technology, I mean, they say talk about AI as it is, but as your partner was talking about earlier, they have these prompts before. There's no dumb AI. Your system's always been sort of AI, but not the most ChatGPT style. But what have you seen this biggest difference in these kind of new technologies that come along that's changed?
I think there are a number of applications of AI that would make a lot of sense in immigration space. First thing that is very natural is, obviously, as an immigration attorney, you guys work with people who are communicating in different languages, and not necessarily English. So ability to translate to and from different languages is a natural mechanism for AI that lends itself to a case management system. But aside from that, there are other applications, ability to extract information from documents and repurpose them into a client profile, so you don't have to keep manually, ability to summarize documents, so you don't have to read through necessarily all the document and just get the gist of it. Ability to create reports without necessarily having to go through the standard process of, here is my search space, here is my
Let me pause you. That's what you were talking about yesterday. I love that, because right now the systems we have, you have to be a mathematician to be able to get a report out of what you need. But if you just ask it, I need this. How many cases did I get? How much money did I make? If you just ask it,
So don't get me wrong. I mean, there are people who prefer doing it the traditional way, but there are also people who are not as tech savvy. So giving them the ability to just in plain English say what they want and get the result set is of a lot of value. And of course, with the draft mechanism, that's also a big value add, that when they get it within the application, not having to switch back and forth, there's a lot of value to the end users. And it's a natural fit as far as we're concerned.
So if people and practitioners and paralegals and everybody wanted to get involved and use your services, what's the best place they can go to?
Best thing to do is if you go to get.immigration.com/VISALAW.AI, that's the starting point, and the promotion is...
Yeah, so anybody who signs up, they will get their first 2 months of both products for free.
Wow. So you really get a feel for it and see what's going on.
Yeah. So if you're shopping for a new case management system right now, that's sort of a kind of a double bonus that you get. You get the VISALAW, and you also get the case management system for... That's a lot of savings, especially if you have a lot of users.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure speaking to both of you. Get to know more about your backgrounds and the products as well.
Thank you so much.